Right. Okay. Is this live? Is this working? Hello, if you're watching. I thought I'd just switch the camera on. I'm going to be doing a bit of painting tonight, so I thought, why not? And we'll see how this is going. So what I'm actually going to do, so you don't have to keep watching me, is I'm going to refresh the camera. I'll go for a different camera. There, can you guys hear me okay? If you let me know. Apparently there's 10 of you watching. So let's have a look. There we go. Hello, Matthew, mate. How are you doing? Right. Okay. Well, basically, I'm now just starting work on my War of the Roses Warwick forces. So I got this lot stuck together yesterday. So I thought I'd just set everything up and see what happens. Let's see. There we go. So I've got Matthew. Hello. Yeah, just a Lionheart. Hello, mate. Christoph Gildar. Hello, mate. Grandad's Art Space and Andrew F. Hello, everybody. So this is what it's been reduced to now on a Friday night. Right. So the cool thing is, which is quite nice for all of this medieval stuff that I've been doing, is that these models under Neville, the Earl of Warwick, are going to be pretty much entirely red. His livery was just red, which makes it nice and simple. It means I can follow the similar scheme to what I've been doing for my English Civil War stuff, but I get to paint it on about 200 more miniatures. So basically I've got a whole household unit here, which includes archers and billmen. So I've just seen you. Hello, Guesty. How you doing, mate? If the gaffer's coming, you just have to hide. Good afternoon from LA. You was watching The Crown. Now you're watching this. That's I'd argue this is going to be better than The Crown. My wife might disagree though. See, that's what I want. I want a nice long Netflix show, but about the Wars of the Roses. I mean, technically, I suppose we got a Wars of the Roses show. It's just they chuck dragons and all sorts in it, and then called it Game of Thrones. Although I know it's based on books, but I still think Wars of the Roses would have been better. Yeah, he's been a long time coming, Warwick. Nice one, Lionheart. He's I wanted to do him justice. I didn't want to just do a few men. I wanted him to have quite a lot, and the reason I want to do that is because he's I want to use him as an opposing force as well, because obviously Warwick turned against York in the end. So if I build up a big enough force for him, I've actually got an opposing force as well. So if I want to have games on my own, or when my Lancastrian opponent isn't there, then I've got two armies. What we got here? Grandad's Art Space. When did the French change their shako plumes from long plumes for the grenadiers to the short plumes? Was it in the Peninsula period? Do you know what? Dom is the person to ask for this, probably. I have a feeling it was around about 1812. Was it 1812? I think we had this question before. I think it was during the Peninsula. I think it was when he after or just before he went to Russia, but I could be wrong. I'll tell you what, I'll ask Dom for you, and if you're on the stream next week, I'll put it up as a question. I'm sure, because Dom knows a lot more about the uniform changes in Napoleonic era than me. And if he doesn't, he's going to have to go, or he's got a week to go and find out about it. Oh, you checked out the bases on the ECW. Oh, the big red bat bases. Yeah, I really like those bases. I wasn't too sure about them at first when I saw them, and I only found them because I was perusing basing. I just typed English Civil War basing into Google and clicked on images, and I just saw them on there. And they're made by the guy who produces the rules to the strongest. And there's a whole big selection on there, and I ordered some because they're not very expensive. So I thought I'd see how they sort of felt, and I really enjoyed them. I really like them. I don't know why. I just find them really aesthetically pleasing for some reason. Obviously, all bases join up, but I really like those ones. They come with magnet holes cut into the bases as well. So if you enjoy, which I don't, sticking magnets onto bases, then you got that joy to look forward to. But I've magnetized them all, so I can put them all in carry cases. So now I've got a whole stash of those. I'm not going to sort of switch to them halfway through a project. And I don't enjoy rebasing, so I won't be doing my Wars of the Roses or Napoleonics on them. But if I do any other kind of mass battles in the future, I'd definitely consider using them. All right. I'm just trying to chuck all the red. Since the red's the predominant color on these, I'm just trying to get all of that sorted out. I don't have to be particularly neat with the contrast paint. Nope, that's not a livery coat. That's not where are the livery coats? There we go. It's another one. And so I'm using the Blood Angels red contrast paint, which I really enjoy, but I'm only using this as a base coat, and I will be adding a highlight to this once it's dry. And then some dry brushing at the end, which helps add a bit of wear and tear to them all. Hello, Simon. Hope you're well, mate. How is everybody doing? Is everyone freezing? I had to go out, visit a few places around the county today, and it was a wee bit brisk, to say the least. I've got icicles hanging off the bottom of my car. My daughter thinks it's great. I think it's rubbish. But we have no snow here. It's all melted. It's just ice. Just cold wind and ice. Hello, Ricky. Wow, Productions. There we go. I knew someone would be able to help. So pom-poms were introduced in 1808 for the elite companies, and then were replaced with plumes again in 1812. I knew there was something about 1812. But there you go. I knew someone would be better than that. And you're about to sit down and paint some of Somerset's bill block. Oh, dear. I mean, yes, that's good. Even if it is a Lancastrian. Although, to be fair, Warwick did end up fighting with Somerset. Well, not the Somerset, one of the Somersets. The third one before the end. He might have had quite a hand in getting the first one killed in St Albans, and the second one at Hexham was killed by his brother. There we go. I've done quite a lot of kit bashing on these minis as well. So I've got this guy here. I don't know how well he's gonna come up on here, but I've used some of the arms from the Light Horseman set, and you get like a bow that's already in its bag, and you get the arrows in the arrow bag. And so I've done to do it like he's running, like he's late to the party. So he's going to be positioned behind the other archers who are all sort of firing, and he's going to be running forward like he got out of bed late. Let's see what we got. Lionheart. I thought about how I'm going to use the bombard in a game. Yes, I have. I was having a chat with the guy who I play against, my friend Matt, And I think we're going to sort of run it as a normal cannon, except it's not going to fire with more dice at close range. And I think we're going to have to say something along the lines of it fires every other turn because of the time taken to load it. And basically, because I'm using primarily the Hail Caesar rules, we're just going to say if you take a hit from a bombard, you have to take a break test. You might not have any modifiers to it. You might pass it very easily, but any unit that is hit by it takes break test. But we're going to be introducing some misfire rules anyway for the cannons because they were fairly temperamental at times. And that isn't really represented anywhere in the rules. So I thought what we'll do is something very simple, a bit like the old Warhammer rules, which was if you roll a 1 to hit, we're going to make a little chart with some results on it, whereas something like 5 to 6 will just be a misfire or the powder's wet. 3 or 4, something goes wrong and it has to wait an extra turn to fire, and 1 or 2 or 1 maybe just it blows up in your face and basically destroys itself, and any units that are in a certain proximity will have to test. What we thought we'd say for the bombard is, because when they went wrong, they really went wrong, you have to -2 off that roll. So either it's going to take an extra turn to reload or it's going to blow up. We'll come up with some different rules for sieges, but until we've actually got some castles or some town walls built, then the siege isn't going to happen. So we'll try them out and see what happens. I'm quite excited. I don't think he is. Okay, you're in Birmingham. And wow, Productions is 22 degrees. Southern California is a different place in terms of weather. That sounds really pleasant compared to here. Grand Prigo, hello, mate. Are you going to mix both types? To be honest, I've just started kind of mixing my Napoleonic infantry. I don't know if that just makes me a heathen. I just sort of hit a wall with not I wouldn't say caring about historical accuracy, but I've got so many troops and I had so many spares, and I just thought, you know what, bugger it, I'm just gonna mix them now because I've got 24 here. I can build a whole battalion out of it. They'll look like a right bunch of misfits, but that'll look quite cool. Okay. So you're doing a purely Lancastrian because you're doing Hedgley more and someone had to take the short straw. Hey, David, what figure am I going to use as Warwick? Now, see, this is a very contentious point. So I've got the Perry figure, the metal, who's on the horse, rear rig on his horse. I like the model and I like the pose, but I don't know if it's this sounds a little bit silly, but I don't know if it sort of screams Warwick at me, like, you know, this sort of larger than life character who you know, sort of inspired. Well, I wouldn't say he inspired, he paid for a lot of men, and to be fair, he did fight and he did inspire a lot of loyalty, mainly because he paid, but the thing that's missing off of them is he doesn't have a surcoat on that model. And if you've seen my videos, you know I like painting my livery and my coats of arms, and that's how he'd have been recognized. And if you've seen Warwick's coat of arms, I think it's been quartered 7 times, which sounds a bit thin. Quartered 7 times. His coat of arms, through all the marriages into the Neville family and the dukedoms that he earned, is massive. So I really wanted to have a go at painting it. So if I use that model, I'm going to have to basically green stuff on a surcoat, but it's something I'm playing around with because, where is he? This chap here, who I don't know how well he's going to come out. This is a kit bash for this unit between the mercenary set, the men at art, the mercenary set, the infantry set, the knight set, and I've borrowed the sword, the scabbard from another set. So there's 3 or 4 pieces on there. But what I thought about doing was actually putting the green stuff, trying to roll some out flat and actually model a surcoat over him and actually paint him up as one of Warwick's little lieutenants, one of his smaller retainers who would have been scattered throughout his army anyway. So basically the answer is I'm going to use the Perry one, but I'm going to keep this open. I did have a crazy idea about trying to get one produced. I don't know what the update would be. It's something I've got to look into. You're a reenactor of the Duke of Gloucester. I assume you mean the Wars of the Roses Duke of Gloucester and not the one that came before him. Good old Richard. Hello, Miller. How you doing, mate? How was work? Hello, Winston, mate. Wardrobe. Hello, how you doing? Yeah, cool, nice. That's what. If you talk about the bombard, what we want to make it so the impact of the bombard is quite significant, but also it can't be game changing. It's there as a bit of fun, really. That's how I view it, anyway. There's only a couple of battles that I found sort of records of, or anything that alludes to the bombard actually being deployed at Northampton. I think they had some. The Lancashires had some deployed, but they never got to fire them. Is it Loosecoat Field? Edward had them deployed, and at the second Battle of St Albans, Warwick had a whole set of defences ready for Margaret and her army. But she went round the side, so they were effectively useless. So if we refight that could be fun. But yeah, I just wanted to, I mean, it's a lovely model. It's probably one of the nicest kits I'd argue that I've actually done across all my wargaming projects. I really enjoyed doing it. I think I got it I got it for Christmas, and then I'd assembled it and started painting it within 2 days. I couldn't wait. Got a real thing for cannons at the minute. So I'm adding a couple of sort of buff coats, yellow colour coats to break up the red. So I try very hard to only paint the ones who are actually in livery coats in red, and then I try to split those up, not evenly, but throughout the unit. So I've got the 4 archers over here in red. I'll have 1, 2, 3 billmen in red, and then the rest of these will be an assortment of colours. But the idea I've had is that because I think I see Warwick as quite an egomaniac, and I want there to be pennants throughout the whole army. So we're going to have flags. There's going to be Warwick's livery banner, but I've got the little pennant like the one on the bombard. So I'm going to keep chucking in the odd guy holding a pike with a pennant on it. So compared to the rest of my armies, his flag is going to be absolutely everywhere. You're not going to be able to, like, if you're fighting against him, you know you're fighting against the Earl of Warwick, which I thought would be quite cool. I really like flags, and the medieval battle line would have been absolutely littered with pennants and liveries of all types. Let's see. A chilly afternoon of 10 degrees Fahrenheit. Yes, mate. That's exactly what I was just talking about because of his mad coat of arms. But I really want to try and paint it, for better or worse. So that's maybe what I do. Maybe I just need to buy another one and model the surcoat on it. But my plan is to also get all of the foot versions of these of the commanders as well, so I can, when they join their units, I will replace them with foot units that then can be put actually into the regiments themselves. And that's just purely a visual thing. I just like having those units, those bases actually in the regiment and not sort of just sitting behind it or off on the side. But he does have a mad coat of arms. Some people just paint the livery, but he might have had stuff with his livery badge on, but generally that was given out to the soldiers to wear, so they'd identify themselves with their lord. So he would pay for his coat of arms to be displayed. I'm not going to lie, these contrast paints do make this process a lot quicker. I can actually get on to doing details. What have I undercoated my miniatures with? It looks like white acrylic spray. I zenithal highlight them. So I undercoat with a black, and then I undercoat with a very, very light grey from a 45-degree angle all the way around the model. So it's pre-shaded, basically. So you have the light source from the top, because I paint with very thin paints, and so that comes through on the layers above it. So the idea being that, I think it's pretty, so underneath the red is a lot darker, and then from the top it's a lot lighter. I will work up all the highlights and then give everything a very, very watered down wash at the end of a brownish wash, and then I dry brush everything with the Magic Paint Deck Tan, which sort of works everything up and gives it a bit of sort of edge highlighting and a bit of wear and tear to everything. Very, very light dry brush. That's how I tend to paint. I know it's bad, isn't it? I think I'll try and do it. I'll have to get one of those tiny diddy brushes for it. But I have a feeling, because I'm going to have the paint so thin it will be dry on the brush before I even get it onto the model. Some of it is nuts. There are people who have done it. If you Google it, there are some brave souls out there who have done it. And I'm going to have a bash at it. And then when it goes wrong, I'll just I'll paint it in red, or I'll chuck it on a base just in his armor. We shall see. Oh, what, you're at McDonald's? You're working at McDonald's? Oh, no. Oh, okay. Fair enough. Hello, Duncan. How you doing, mate? Yeah. So, yeah, the Battle of Barnet, the visibility rules, because of the thick fog said to have covered the battlefield. Yeah, but it affected both sides really badly. Sometimes people forget. So the armies lined up completely wrong. So Edward's right flank, well, his middle where Edward was basically against the Lancastrian left, and where Gloucester was basically had no one, so he could flank. But then the same thing happened on the other side. So where Hastings was on the left flank of the Yorkists, he was outflanked by the Earl of Oxford, John de Vere, who then sent them running. And they ran all the way back to Barnet, but then Oxford's men chased them off. And then, unfortunately, when they returned to the battle, because of the fog, because of visibility, they Montague's men, so Warwick's brother, mistook the star, or so we're told, on Oxford's livery as Edward's son in splendour, and they started shooting them. And the Lancastrians snatched defeat from the jaws of victory. They started, as was so often, they assumed treason, so they started turning on each other, and then Edward just smashed his way through, and the whole line crumbled, and Warwick was killed trying to escape. Some people say it was he got off and he basically got trapped in like a little wood, and then he just got set upon. But yeah, I think doing some weather rules would be cool. Just need to get like a little fog machine going on the battlefield, or someone at the side of it vaping really, really fast and breathing it onto the battlefield. Sorry, I have to have a swig of tea. Where are we? So we've got two guys here. One's wearing a padded. Right, this one's got some chainmail, studded. Well, it's not studded leather. It's just a sort of hauberk. I reckon we'll give that one some green. That's that. it was said that Montagu was found with a Yorkist livery underneath to show his true colours. Well, Montagu had been royally done over by Edward. I mean, he was made Earl of Northumberland, and then Edward gave that back to the Percys and took Northumberland away from him. And he'd always supported Edward, even in Warwick's first uprising. Montagu had stayed loyal to Edward, and I think it was there is a record somewhere. It said that I think that was while the loss of Warwick, who was his mentor and his teacher, really did have an effect on Edward. But it was really the fact that Montagu had been killed as well, and that he turned against him had a bigger effect, because Montagu was really responsible for the power in the north following Towton, and he went about defeating Lancastrians. He fought them at Hexham. He laid siege to all of the castles in Northumbria and sort of quelled any uprisings. So he really was the man up there. So I think he really that would be quite cool if that was true. If you're suggesting that I try and paint like in addition to, because his colours are no better than Warwick's, they're equally as brutal to try and paint. Maybe I can get away with paint like under his armour. Maybe I can add like just a little hint of the sun in splendour on something. You wouldn't want to be, I mean, you don't want that to be true though, because, well, not if you were the soldier that found him. Imagine killing him and then like take it off and then, oh no, he's actually he actually was our king's supporter all along. Who's going to tell Edward? Edward was could have quite a temper on him at times. I wouldn't want to tell him that. Fogg seems to have played a lot in English battles. The same happened in the Battle of Trenton. Yep. Well, it's always fun. It's always fun to Fogg. I don't think have I ever gamed in Fogg? I'm trying to think. I think I've done things with visibility. I've done nighttime games before. And we've done rules of visibility where someone can only shoot so far, or can only see so far anyway. Hello, Matt. How are you doing? How's your Friday been? There's Miller's plan here. You could use number counters that are represented as different units, and only each player knows which unit represents. Then within so many inches, they are revealed. There's another game that does something like that, isn't there? At the start of you move these counters. Infinity does something similar, and I know that's a sci-fi skirmish. You just move counters about, but so say you have a hidden unit, you actually put 3 counters down for it, and you move it around. Your opponent doesn't know which one is actually the real guy. Your dad's finished painting Montagu with his livery. Is he moving on to Warwick next, or has Montagu finished him off? Snow as well. Always seems to be snowing. Not here. We had one little bit. It doesn't. Snow does not settle here. It just doesn't do it. Much to my kids' annoyance and much to my delight, it doesn't settle. I do not want it. It's too much of a bugger for work, and everything just grinds to a stop around here. All right, so this is the last one. So I'm going to have this guy, maybe like a company captain, with the archers waving the pennant for Warwick. So give him a nice leather coloured top. I do see a lot of people try to be really, really neat at this stage, and I just slap it on. So I do wonder sometimes if I should be neater, if it would save time, but I don't. I tend to go along later and just pick out what I need to. See, normally this kind of thing, I'd ask what people's plans are for the weekend, but obviously with restrictions, I guess everyone's pretty much housebound or working. So, unless of course you're in another country, I'm not too sure. I haven't kept up with the news. So I'm not entirely sure what the situation is in other countries at the moment, in any way, to be honest. Right. So there's all the archers' tops done. So I'll move on to doing their legs, and then go back onto the tops. So this is a good colour. This militarum green. David, don't the Perrys have a plastic figure in one of their box sets where he has a surcoat he's drawing sword? Yeah, that's in the that's in this one, the Foot Knights box, because it's meant to be either Richard or someone else similar. Is there a picture of him on here? No. Yeah, he's coming forward, but it's not just a surcoat, it's a different type. It's like a proper tabard. It's like the kind of thing that squires would wear. So no, I have got that. I will use him. I used him before. I think I've only used him once, actually. So I think I must have some others kicking around. And I think I just painted it up as a normal guy, which was a bit of a waste. But that was back when I started this thing about 2 years ago, doing all these. Yeah, he's their sort of Richard III on the foot, but yeah, you can use him. But I mean, that's the beautiful thing about these sets. They're so versatile, and you can build them out in any way. And that's what I do. I mean, I'm representing lots and lots of lords, but not necessarily all of them are command stands. I just mix them into my units because they would have been. Not every retainer had men in his colours, or if he did bring men, they would just be wearing Warwick's colours. Because he would be the lord that, for example, Sir John Conyers was retained by Warwick. His men, if he brought with him like a company of archers and say a few men at arms, the men at arms would stick with Conyers, but the archers would just presumably wear Warwick's livery, because that's who their lord serves. Now they'd sew his livery badge on. Hello, Richard. How you doing? Late dinner. Yeah, it's half term. I've managed. Oh, yeah, it's half term, isn't it? Oh dear. Yeah, that's a good point, Miller. How is the fort coming along? How's that going? I saw the progress you put in your video the other day. It was looking good. I'm looking forward to seeing all that, and then I'm looking forward to when we can have a game and I can use my mortar to knock it down. Are you going to do some damage sections to swap in when you've when parts of the wall have been blown out? See, that's the thing I want to do with a castle or a town. I want to make it, but then I want to make some breach sections to pop in. My mate has got a 3D printer. Maybe I'll have to have a look on Thingiverse and then go buy some of the stuff, the print stuff. What's it called? Filament. Filament? Yeah. Print some off. Do I know the name of the English Civil War regiment from Bristol? My 10th great grandfather was a colonel in that regiment, but I don't know. Do you know what? Marshall Nate, the person to ask is right below you in the comments, and that's Miller. Miller, help the man. And then Miller's actually, oh, I know, he hasn't replied about that. The Richard III figure in the Men at Arms box has a circle. I guess you could just change the arms and the head. Yeah. My wife is massively weirded out listening to this while I play it on my phone speaker. It's like listening to you, but with a different accent. My wife has listened to me talk about the Earl of Warwick. Yeah, but my wife basically says something similar when I'm watching videos. Do I have an accent? I guess no one thinks they have an accent. Do I have an accent? Is it that bad? I don't know. I don't really know what a Cambridge accent sounds like. And someone described it to me. I'm working a lot in Norfolk at the minute, and some of the accents up there are quite hard to understand. It's quite cool, actually, because where I'm working is fairly near Wymondham, which is where Kett's Rebellion started. And I believe there was talk, although I did try to find it today, of maybe, I think he said the next Nevermind, or the next version of Bill Hooks, or there being an expansion to cover all the various Tudor uprisings, so you could have a Ket's Rebellion, and then you can get some Zweihander, some Landsknecks involved, which would be cool. The Battle of Dussindale outside Norwich, there's a bunch of mercenary Landsknecks come over, and that was the Earl of Warwick, obviously not the same Earl of Warwick, but that was the Earl of Warwick who put down that rebellion, and then hung Robert Kett from the walls of Norwich Castle, and his brother from Windham Abbey. What's this? I've got the cannon for it, man. I just sent a Scots. I reckon the Perry sent me a dirty, great big siege gun instead, so it's going to scare the royalists when it appears on the field. Didn't everything scare the royalists? I heard of the book Warwick the Kingmaker by Paul Murray Kendall. Really good. First published in 1973. Do you know what? I have, and I struggle to find it. I have a look for it every now and then. I do, and I've struggled to get a copy. I've got a whole load of Wars of the Roses books and medieval books, as you probably expect. So I like going and having a bit of a read and doing some research. Right, colours. Let's use. Oh, my skeleton horde's a bit gloopy. We'll have to see how that comes together. It's Miller. Yeah, the forts hit a bit of a brick wall, excuse the pun. I don't need to make the destroyed walls, mate. Your dice rolls and your mortals will be shooting the next table. Yeah, all right. All right. Might be. I'm gonna do better. I don't really think it's my dice rolls. I think it's just everybody I play against is really, really lucky. Well, that's the excuse I'm going to use anyway. Some of Haley's dice rolls are ridiculous, and Ken's. Absolutely ridiculous. So I think in total I've worked out that this sort of ward, or whatever you want to call it, so Warwick's forces here, it won't be a ward, ward's too small, but are going to have about 10 units in it, give or take. And I'll do 2 or 3 commanders. I'll do Warwick, Montague. I don't know who else yet. Maybe one of the northern lords who was retained by him. See how that goes. Yeah, let's do some more green. There's going to be a lot of them, and then throughout all those forces, I'm just going to have bases and bases of sort of knights and minor nobility mixed in. Dark Angels green, my new go-to colour for painting Napoleonic cavalry or French cavalry, and then use intermediate green to highlight it up. Let's try. I have to get on with my next set of those soon. I've set myself this stupid challenge of trying to get all my Napoleonic cavalry painted by the end of the year, which seems like a really long way off. And I made this pledge just before Christmas, but we're well into February now, and I've only done 1. I've still got another 96 to do. Bristol changed hands several times during the war. Yeah, Yeah, it did. Yeah, that's it. Go on, get on it. Make some broken walls, mate. Cheers, mate. Thanks for dropping by. Have a good evening. There definitely seems to be more people doing Wars of the Roses these days, which is cool because it is a really interesting period to do. And everyone fought everyone, so you can pretty much, it doesn't, if you want to have a historical game, you haven't got to search too far, and generally most people have fought each other at some point. This is another cool colour, this Space Wolves grey. Really good for clothing. Right. Once I've got all this on, go back and start highlighting up these coats. Oh, hang on, I've also got a couple of guys there. There we go. This guy. I don't know if anyone else does this. I just tend to just sort of randomly pick them for their colours. When it comes to stuff like trousers and footwear, I just grab them. Try just to have it so that they don't have the same two colours on them. Unless they've got the livery or something like that, but here we go. These are surprisingly easy to knock out. We've got here Logan Powell. You're new. Hello, mate. How you doing? What are you up to? You doing any painting? How many people are painting tonight? I decided on Middle Earth faction. You're looking at. Yeah, I have. I've got Rohan and Mordor forces, but that's because that's what came in the Pelennor Fields set. So I've got those. I've expanded them a little bit because I had the 2 games, which were really fun with my brother-in-law, and then second lockdown happened, so we're all ready to play through the rest of those scenarios. But no, I've made a few more purchases. I do enjoy that game. I think that's probably my favourite set of rules that GW has produced, is the Middle Earth game. I really, really enjoy it. There's nothing really like it either. You know, a lot of war games suffer from because there's only so many ways you can simulate or game warfare, but Middle Earth, just no one's really seemed to copy that system. I quite enjoy it. Of course, I didn't enjoy the Witch King getting killed straight away. I didn't realise he was quite as fragile. I had this image of him from the films and the books where he's just sort of walking through everybody, smashing them, and then I got absolutely mugged as soon as I put him into combat. He refused to take on another period. ECW, Napoleonics, and Jacobites. Jacobites would be cool. What have I actually got at the moment? What am I working on? So I've got Wars of the Roses, English Civil War, Napoleonic, British, and French. That counts as 2. I've got my Carthaginian ancients, my Romans to go with that. It's historical. My French Indian War forces. I think that might be a history. Now I've got some Anglo-Danes for Saga. I've got my Arthurian forces. I think I've got about, was that 8 or 9 now? Byzantine, Cataphracts, V&V minis from Mezzers. Nice one. I do like the V&V stuff that I've got. I've got these little, I keep on showing this guy off, but it's these little Crusaders, but I'm kind of putting off painting them at the minute because as soon as I start painting them, I'm going to want to do a Crusader force. That's the next thing on my list, to do a Kingdom of Jerusalem based force. David, you're putting together 3 boxes for his Wars of the Roses army, and you're doing Warwick. Good man. All of this, I will be doing some sort of project logs for Warwick and some history videos as well. Although, unlike some of the others, I don't think I'm going to be able to cover it in one video. It's going to be quite a few. See, I've got the absolute opposite problem with Warwick, is that there's some of the others, there's not loads of information. Well, it's not loads of easy information to get hold of, and then you have to kind of sort through what's potentially sort of wives' tales. With Warwick, we've got loads of info. There's lots of letters and bits of the chronicles. There's loads of stuff on the continent. I've got some things planned as well. I don't want to spoil them, but sort of reading around the subject of Warwick and looking into the battles he took part in, and the sort of, he had it, obviously, if you sort of know about the Wars of the Roses and how Warwick you know, basically courted influence. He had a lot to do with France and mainland Europe, and he has a lot of fingers in a lot of pies over there. So he was also the captain of Calais, so he could rely on the forces, although the forces he brought over with him in 1460 ended up betraying him. So any Lancastrians, you can build Andrew Trollope. We're going to come up with some good little rules for Andrew Trollope. We changed sides. So I've got a few surprises to do. I've got my boxes down here of my Perrys. So I've got 3 boxes of Perry stuff for building it. I've got some Perry metals from multiple ranges, and I've been ordering some bits and bobs from other manufacturers like CP Models and Steelfist Miniatures, just to sort of mix some things in into some very specific ideas that I've got for the army. You want to do tout an army with snow bases, but it feels like limits you in terms you only be fit in a battle and it'll look out of place for others. Yeah, but you know, you only if you're saying that you want to refight Towton. I mean, for my Carthaginian army, I've done them all on snow bases, mainly because I'd never seen anyone do snow bases for Carthaginians before, and their first battles were in the snow. So I've done snow bases for these guys in the Rome, because even though you've got the big battles like the Battle of the River Trebia and all the skirmishes, sorry, there would have been a lot of skirmishing. So I've done big snow bases for all of these guys. Doesn't bother me. I'll just say it just so happens we're always fighting in winter. I think I would have done some Towton snow bases, and that was kind of our original plan, but the project's just expanded now beyond that. I'd have been done with Towton a while ago, because I'd have just built Warwick and that would have been it. But I've expanded off into all of the Burgundians and the allies and these individual people from other areas. I think you'd be fine. You fool, no man can kill me. Yeah, unless you're me. And then he just got trampled by loads of horses. Scott's Covenanters. I did look at Covenanters, but I don't want to paint tartan ever again. You finish your guards division. Pig for punishment. Yeah. See, I'm one of these people, I get the idea and I don't really think about the work, and then I find out about halfway through. Meza does make nice pre-made flags. Again, these were problems. I was looking at those, and I was looking at the Templar Knights, not a Templar Knights, just a Crusader Knight, sorry. Yeah, they are nice. But I don't particularly want to do sort of like the traditional Crusaders that everyone does, where they're just like the red cross and the Templars. I really want to do the sort of Ibelin or the Kingdom of Jerusalem, where they got the blue livery with sort of gold crosses on them and like lots of little crosses. See what I'm doing now. I've gone from the contrast paint, and now I just use, because I don't know if anyone else uses these. These are the P3 Formula P3 paints, and I really like these. Really nice, vibrant colours, really good for sort of highlighting. And I haven't found better flesh colours. The guys who make War Machine, which I don't think is hugely popular. I've played it. I've got 3 armies for the system, but I don't get to play it very much because my opponents who played it moved away. But something I've always carried on using is their paints. Matthew, you picked up some V&V Crusaders from Mezzers, Hospitallers and Templars. That's it. And that's the other thing. If I painted up any of the sort of knightly orders, it would be the Order of St. John, the Knights Hospitaller, just because like the black and white, I think, looks really, really cool. Right. I rewatched Kingdom of Heaven the other day, actually, which I don't actually mind that much. The director's cut of it. I was really, really disappointed when it came out at the cinema. Was it 2004, 2005? I remember going to see it, and it's been a bit. But I do enjoy the director's cut of it, and it simplifies things a little bit, but nothing's going to be 100% historically accurate. And I just enjoyed it. But the director's cut just seemed to manage to take like whole like characters, add in scenes that make, you know, and most director's cuts I see just add in sort of, you know, there's a few scenes that we wanted to put in but we couldn't, and they don't really change. I mean, the director's cut of Kingdom of Heaven completely changes character arcs. I mean, there's a whole character of Baldwin's nephew. He's not even in the theatrical cut. It's nearly an hour longer. But yeah, watching that, and even if the content of the film isn't up to everyone's taste, the visuals which Ridley Scott does are amazing, and his visuals for that, and me thinking I would really like to game this. I was filling my shopping cart on Mezzer's website. It's still there. I've saved it. Michael, painting ECW pikemen. I'm trying to select what regiment to do next. I'm not entirely sure. I think the obvious choice would be to do Prince Rupert's Bluecoats. I just don't fancy that. I want to do something a little bit different. So I think I've decided I'm either going to go for one of the white-coated regiments, but not the Marquis of Newcastle, or I'm just going to make one up. Because I've noticed that most flag sellers just sell some random flags. So with, you know, just in colours, I thought it might actually be a laugh. I might make up my own little company of soldiers. Problem is, I'm from Cambridgeshire, and obviously so was Cromwell, because he was the MP for Cambridge. His house isn't too far away from here, up the road in Ely, so I can't really say, oh, it's the Cambridgeshire lot. I believe Miller or is it Dom? Dom does no, Dom does Royalists. Some other parliamentarians. Right. Oh, sorry, I've missed a whole load of comments. Marshall, no, you have your first real black powder game tomorrow. My mainly Peninsula, a bit of Waterloo, Brits versus your friends French, a couple of French words painted. Rule Britannia, good luck. Enjoy it. I know black powder has its detractors, but I enjoy it. I find it a very sociable, easy game. And I say it's a game, not a simulation. So I find it a lot of fun. We have a game next week against my wife, because we're still restricted, so I can't have any friends around to play with. So she's very kindly agreed to play again. Of course, I think she's winning 5-1 in terms of overall, but so I'm going to, I'd like to say I've gone easy on her, but I haven't. But we're going to, I put up the vote if people saw that on the channel, and it was overwhelmingly in support of black powder. So that's what we're going to do. I'm going to do some other reports for other games at some point, but I do enjoy black powder, and I want to win. So until I win, we're going to carry on playing, and then we'll win, and then I'll retire. Until Ken or Dom or someone comes down here, up here even. So I'm just going to use this P3 highlight color. So all the P3 paints come with a direct highlight color. So this one, which is called, just because it's called Cador Red, is what I used to highlight. This is Cador Red highlight. So if you can see, that's the base color, and that's the highlight color for it, and they're the two. So it's basically orange. So I just mix them together to get a nice gradient. Do a bit of edge, and that's the surcoats, the livery jacket, sorry, on these fellas. Done. And then when I do the dry brush at the end, just adds a bit of wear and tear over the whole model. There we go. I can't wait to get these all on the table. So if anyone's why I haven't played Wars of the Roses, I basically don't have enough forces built. Well, I have enough forces built for a game, but it'd be quite a small one. So when I've finished these Nevils, I'll be able to. But my opponent, he's been building his forces in lockdown. He's been busy as well. I think there's going to be some French coming. I'm not too sure. I think he's resisted building any Tudors yet, but I think he might do just to annoy me because he knows that I hate the Tudors. Huxley, which regiment are you doing? Hello, Dan, how are you doing, mate? Yeah, it's going well. I believe you're going an hour. Hope you're doing well. You got an Earl of Northumberland army. If you did them at Towton, they'd all just be lying down facing in the mud. You could do them for Bosworth, where they'd just be standing watching, but at least they'd all be upright. He did fight at, well, the dad fought at St Albans. Unfortunately, he didn't make it out of St Albans. Did he fight? Yeah, he did. He fought at a couple of them, didn't he? What's one I'm thinking? Northampton. Battle of Northampton. He's the Percys. But you see, I always thought it'd be done. So I'll have to give you a game, because when you've got your Earl of Northumberland forces and I've got my Warwick forces, my Neville forces, we can game the some of the smaller ones, like the wedding party that the Percys ambushed under Lord Egremont, and kick the whole thing off. And that's why I love this period. You've got all these little mini feuds as well. So you've got like the Tudors and the Herberts hate each other. Well, they don't hate each other, but they've got their feud. The Vaughans and the Tudors, the Percys and the Nevilles, the Courtenays and the, I can't remember the other ones, down in Cornwall. And it all just plays out on this big tapestry through all these various rebellions and civil wars, and a lot of fun. You reckon sometime somewhere there's going to be the biggest EC battle ever? Maybe we could arrange one for CrackCon if it comes off. Although I know what's been Napoleonic. The rate this is going to means maybe we could organise a big ECW game. Everyone just bring everything down, chuck it on the table, and we'll work out how best to do it. Which is how I play my Napoleonic games anyway. I don't use a point system. Marshall now, on the other side of your family, some of your ancestors were big leaders in the Argyle movement. I've met loads of people on YouTube recently who've got really, really interesting ancestry. I mean, obviously, you know, the medieval lords and families got around quite a bit, but there's been loads of people who have been getting in touch with me. So I've been doing these histories about Vaughan and Herbert. And I think each one I've had someone contact me saying, this is my ex great-granddad once removed. I really need to sort my family tree out at some point. Matt, it sounds like everyone has an ECW army. I blame Miller. I think he's been doing it. I think he's gone around contacting everybody to find more opponents. Oh, they're not the tartan ones. They're the boring grey ones. However, a couple of clans for. Sorry. I just look at anything now, which is quite bad. I know that it's Scottish, and all I think about straight away is tartan, just because I don't want to paint it. Yes, that's right. The Crusader army is based around the Third Crusade and the Lionheart, unsurprisingly, with Templars, Hospitallers, English Revenge. He's another interesting character, Richard the Lionheart, especially when you start reading a bit more about him, and how he if you look at sort of like before he became king, and he fought against his father 2 or 3 times. He raised rebellions with his older brother against Henry. Interesting character. You see, that's, and then we got obviously get John and the Barons' Wars, which is another game that I'm interested in a lot. Is the Barons' Wars? Oh, of course. Hang on, I've just forgot some more. I've got Test of Honor, so I've got Samurai as well to add to that list of stuff that I do. This color here, this sand yellow, highlights the contrast paint from so it's a sand yellow by Vallejo, highlights up the Nasdreg yellow, the contrast paint, really nicely. I find it works really well for these sort of corded or padded coats you get, these sort of gambesons. Mate, you've got 2 Parliament regiments. Sounds like everyone else is royalists. Miller's got some parliamentarians. Currently building up Italian Royal Grenadier Regiment for Black Powder. Nice. Is that for Napoleonic period? Hi, Philip Skipton, Hutchinson. Skipton was a nightmare to research though because his coat colours changed halfway through. There's a couple of people I found like that who keep on changing colours. And I can't work out if that's because they die and someone else purchases the regiment, or if that's it. It's Marshall now. Yeah, on one side of the father's side, they share like 20 ancestors with the Queen. On one side of the mother's, I'm related to the Tudors, Richard III, Louis, and a bunch of Scottish clan chiefs. Ricky Turner, I'm putting Austrian Dragoons. We get sidetracked because there's the Greek hoplite. Okay. Oh, are they the ones off? Yes, War Games Illustrated. I haven't picked that up this month. I don't think I've ever done Greeks. I've done Greeks. I've done some fantasy-looking some Greeks, but only for role-playing games. Speaking of which, I don't know if anybody here is into role-playing games, but if anyone's seen the Lord of the Rings role-playing game, the One Ring on Kickstarter is smashing through all of its goals. I'm quite excited. I've backed that. I do like RPGs. I just like books. I do tend to buy a lot of them and then very, very rarely play them, unfortunately. Although I do have a regular gaming group that we try to meet, but lockdowns obviously cause that, and we do play over Zoom, but obviously life just gets in the way. Let's try to keep up with these. Where are we? Am I going to get the epic ACW from Warlord? I'm not, personally. Stee, who's on the stream, On Point HQ, Stee, he's on the Classic Crack podcast. He's got some. I think he's going to get into it. I can't remember what Dom's final sort of opinion on. I know. I can't remember if he actually decided if he was going to get any or not. I won't, because I'm holding out the game ACW at 28 mil. And I want to use the Muskets and Tomahawks rules because they're going to be releasing a ACW expansion. And I think out of the wars that they're doing, French-Indian War, ACW, and Napoleonic, which is the next set they're releasing, I just feel that the skirmish rules would be sort of a bit more suited, in my opinion, to the ACW and just getting some fun skirmishing going on. So I'm holding out for that. But I've heard good things about the minis. Hopefully they're going to put up some more info on other kits from the range soon, unless I've missed them. Earl of Manchester's regiment is either red with green bordering or green with red. Oh, Barding. See, this is like when people start talking about the Wars of the Roses liveries. Some of them changed all the time. Some people as well, I've noticed, you just, because people are using certain websites to get their information from, it's relying on the fact that those websites have done their research, because there's a couple on there where the livery, they've picked sort of random looking livery badges. And as try as I might, when I've done some research or been reading around, I can't find any reference to these certain laws having those livery badges. I guess ultimately it's down to whether or not you care about that kind of thing. Are there any decent movies on the Wars of the Roses? No. Basically. Are there? No. There's the series. There's a TV series, the White Queen, based on Philippa Gregory's book, which isn't terrible. It kind of is a very simplified version of the politics, and I like the actors in it. I think the actors they all chose to portray. Edward is played by Jeremy Irons' son. I can't tell you what his first name is. My wife will remember. She'll definitely remember. The guy who plays Warwick, James Frayne, he's very cool as Warwick. And there's some quite good. The guy who played Richard III was really good as well. He kind of got this sort of like right level of sort of vulnerability, but also utter psychotic violence if needed, which is pretty much like all of them. But I don't think there are. I keep on saying that they should make a series like Vikings about it. But the thing is, if you want to make a series about the Wars of the Roses, you need to start it in 100 Years' War, or at the end of the 100 Years' War anyway, to actually fully explore the political situation and why the Wars of the Roses started, because it's not as straightforward as lots of people like to portray it as. There's a very key set of circumstances that lead to these rebellions and civil wars. But I think they could do it quite well, because there's a whole cast of characters. You could run it for 4 or 5 seasons to cover the whole thing. Got plenty of violence and just backstabbing and political intrigue and battles and all of that kind of stuff. Everyone's getting married to everybody else. Plenty of nookie for those for like the Game of Thrones fans. Well, obviously Game of Thrones was based on that. They just added in dragons and took some real events from history. I think Joffrey is more or less a mixture of Edward of Westminster, who's Henry VI's son, and Richard II. So you've got all these characters, and he's just inspired by real history. So yeah, unfortunately. Hello, Nick. How you doing, mate? Yeah, archers and billmen, pikemen. Yeah. Marshall, you wish ECW had more media like musical shows. Yeah, you and me both. Both these periods, to be fair. Miller gonna have to shoot now, getting dirty looks from the missus. You're the second one. He said that. Have a good evening, mate. Hello, Leslie. How you doing? Am I stringing the bows after I have painted the miniatures? No, I'm not. I've got a lot of them to get through, and I don't think I could bring myself to do it. I did think about doing it on like a command base. It was Dom that did that, wasn't it? And then Miller's done it as well. No, I can't bring myself to do it. I don't know if I'm letting the side down there, but it's like the guys keep on talking about the rigging on the what's the game? Is it Black Seas? Black Sails? No, Black Sails is a TV show. Black Seas game, and I haven't experienced it because I have no desire to paint ships that small or do rigging. Everyone keeps on telling me how horrible it was. Does anyone else string their bows? Is it just Dom and Miller that do it? It does look cool. Anyone else do it? Probably just a hollow crown, but that's the Shakespeare plays all joined together. Yeah, I mean that's good, but it's obviously based on Shakespeare. That's the issue. and then we obviously get into the artistic licenses that Shakespeare took. He got a lot of his information from Moore and other people, and we know some of what Shakespeare said was true and based on fact. We know other parts of it are complete baloney. I am hoping, so it's probably a good time as any, that there'll be some more history videos on here, but I'm actually going to, some things coming up on the channel. Hopefully going to have a couple of guests on, and we're going to be chatting more about some of the history, if that's something that people are interested in. Just a bit of background information, get a bit of, not necessarily debate, but some people on who know a lot about the subject, have a chat with. Someone I'm quite looking forward to. Just got to get some things organized for it. Right, that's done. So highlighting on the greens. There we go. Stringing the bows seems too tedious and frustrating for the payoff. Battlemat, no. Lionheart, no. Little Legions, you string bows. Little Legions, didn't you do 6mm as well? Am I getting confused? Didn't you do some 6mm wars already? Do you string those bows? Dom did it. They do look good after the effort you put into it. Yeah. Small ships paint easily using stains and washes, especially when the moulding is well done. Maybe I'll go. There is that fantasy game, the fantasy ship game. I don't think you're too keen on your fantasy, are you, Leslie? Could be wrong. Where is the? No, there we go. See, there is one. Where is he? I've just realised I'm missing an archer. Oh no, here he is. So there's this guy here who's got the arrow knocked ready. I suppose that wouldn't be too hard to string. Oh no, just don't. I don't even want to think about it. Don't talk me into it because I've already got enough to do. I'm already trying to figure out the details of how, like the order and how I'm going to do Warwick's livery, or his personal coat of arms rather. Right. Yeah, I know, but yeah, he did 6mm. He didn't string the bows. Come on. I want to see some bows to string 6mm. I've got my 6mm stuff here. You probably, guys, if you watch Dom's channel, he got his 6mm samurai. I've got mine in as well. And I was having a chat with Dom last night actually, and we are just trying to figure out how we're going to base the bloody thing. So we're going to be basing them on 60 by 40, 60 by 40, not 60 by 40, 40 by 20 bases, and just moving around. Something that added. I think that's going to be a project for not a rainy day, but for a day off when there's no one else around. I just want something different to paint. See if I can knock out a whole army in a day. Leslie, the fantasy is fine. There's just too much history in some of it's stranger than fantasy, and I agree. And that's why I love the Plantagenets and specifically the Wars of the Roses, because the whole period is more brutal, more intriguing, and has more twists in it than anything you could come up with in fiction. Some of the things that these guys did and the events that happened are just completely out of. I mean, just take the event before Mortimer's Cross, where there was a parhelion. So you see the sundog, the three suns, which is actually just light refraction through ice crystals. Someone's going to correct me on that now. I might be wrong there, but and you can imagine this army, and you can see it in like a Hollywood film, that they'll be sitting there and there'll be this some sort of soaring music as the sun rises and splits into three, and then Edward gives a big speech, and then they charge, and then they win the day. But it's effectively what happened. he spun it. He, you know, a lot of his men would have been terrified. He completely spun it to say that the Holy Trinity was with them, because they saw these three different suns, Holy Trinity. And then it went on. He took the sun in splendor as his badge. There's this idea then of the three sons of York, Richard, George, and Edward, and the three sons represented. This does sound like someone just sort of made it up. I mean, to be fair, part of these stories they probably have, but they've stuck. So no, definitely agree with you. I mean, there's a lot in history to learn and to game as well. I don't want the soldier to want over his model soldier collection. Do you know what I did one time, a very long time ago, play where we had to hand over some models, and it was so gut wrenching, and I lost that my opponent didn't take them. It was only like a small unit of something, but we were teenagers and it seemed like a good idea, but he took pity on me. You're watching someone rig up one of those black sail ships, you think a bow would be easy. You see, I just don't even want to start, because then it will be the slow decline into rigging up ships. I'll get the bows done and I'll think, oh, do you know what? Maybe ships won't be so bad. And then that's enough game. Another box I have to explain to my wife when it turns up why there's another box. I'm just on here highlighting these parts of his gambeson. Julian Dello, hello mate. How you doing? Welcome. Are you painting or just watching or doing the washing up? That's what I tend to be doing when I'm listening to live streams usually. So you've got washing up, cooking, or trying to tidy up after the kids once they've gone to bed. All right, that guy's ready. Who's left? I've got the guy here in some green. This is a weird colour, this one. This is what I use for highlighting the Militarum green, Witch Brew from Army Painter. Oh, I need more corks. All right. Well, I reckon another 10 minutes and then it'll be time for me to call it a night, go and watch a film or something tonight. We're watching we're watching The Man in the High Castle at the minute, the TV series on Amazon. If sort of Germany and Japan had won the war, based on the Philip K. Dick novel, although taken further than that. Quite enjoying it, mainly because it's a bit different and because it's not something I've read about or I'd even read the original parts of the novel. I don't really know what's going to happen, which is nice. Rick Russell, hello mate, how are you doing? Julian Dow, working on your first box of Napoleonic models. Got a box of Perry British Napoleonic line inventory. Any hints or tips most welcome. Hints and tips for British Napoleonics. Rifleman, if you now we've got the joy of contrast paints, get Dark Angels green and use that on the Rifleman to do your base coats for their uniforms. I've done a couple now like that. For the British, I can't really think if there is anything. I mean, I use a rattle can red to undercoat all my British, and then I pick out all of the piping and the straps in white, and then give the whole thing like a strong tone or Agrax Earthshade wash on it. And that's all I do for British uniforms. And that was what seemed like the best idea at the time. But you should have enough men in the Perry box. You've got enough to make a 36-man battalion with 4 riflemen left over. So if you buy another one, you slowly sort of build up a rifle company as well. Say something horrible about a ship like Dom did, so Warlord sends you for box for free. Oh no, no, Warlord. Yeah, Warlord sent Dom that. Warlord sent Dom the box. They sent me. Oh, up here, I got sent, which I will be doing at some time. Some French resistance partisans for World War II, because I think they'd seen my stuff already that I've done for Operation Squad or Bolt Action. But I'm not going to paint these up as French. I'm just going to paint them up again as sort of nation agnostic, so I can use them to represent Italians or Hungarians or whatever, any partisans. So I've got those to work on once I've got through some batches of Wars of the Roses. And I want to paint some, well, I was going to say a gun, but I've got handguns to paint. But no, I want to paint something a bit different. There's 10 of them in there. Little Legions, you're painting up Footsore Late Romans. You've got a vague plan of doing Barbarian Conspiracy. Oh, that'd be very cool. I've got some of their late Roman figures. I use them for my my Arthurian stuff. They're very nice Footsore. Very nice figures. Some of them are, if I remember correctly, some of them are quite chunky as well, and I quite like chunky models. Only way intermediate green. That's too far away. Where are we now? So done that. So it's on to armor. See if I can get this armor done before the end of the year. Rick, you just got home from work. There's a lot of people working on getting home from work late tonight. Had to get some painting done. Lionheart, it's not like a good series. You just finished The Witcher on Netflix. Yeah, I've watched The Witcher. Enjoyed it a lot. I thought season 2 was meant to be out by now, but I guess obviously for obvious reasons with lockdowns and all sorts, then everything has been delayed. You can't really rely on anything coming out. I use this. This is a Lead Belcher by Citadel. I use this for pretty much all of my metalwork, or for basing it anyway. I just find it very, very quick and easy, and it covers very well. And say what you, I think some people seem to have problems with Games Workshop paints. I never really have. You do a decent range of colors, but I use GW paints. I use Vallejo. I use P3, Darkstar, Scale 75. War paints got quite a lot. I don't think you can have too many paints. The only ones I've never tried that I'm interested in trying are the foundry paints. Anyone got any experience in the foundry paints? There's their triad system. I always look at them at Salute and I sit there and think, do I need 3 different yellows? And I understand it's exactly the same as the P3 thing here, which is you have a foundation, you have a highlight, and you have a second highlight. There we go. $10:30 time for bed. Good night, Leslie. Thanks for popping in. Rick Russell, 4:30 p.m. in Toronto. It's 9:30 nearly here. Barbarian Conspiracy invaded or invite argument. Nick, have you based your samurai from Warlord Games? They don't have small bases on them. So, question: Do you glue them to the bases first or that base? For my samurai, I used the bases that came with Test of Honor. So they're on these little what are these 25mm? They've got the Warlord Games logo on. So what are those 20? Hang on, these are 25mm round bases, and then they slot into those bigger ones. Oh, you mean? Oh, sorry. Do you mean that? You mean the pudding bases, don't you? No, these. I just stuck them straight onto these. For anything like that, I glued them on first, and then I would do the basing. Because the problem is always you're sticking them to the basing material, and if the basing material isn't on properly, which sometimes if the PVA glue goes bad, if you ever bought models off eBay and you're trying to like take them off, sometimes you can just peel them off. So no, I don't do it. If you are going to do that, I would pin them. That's how I would do it. If I do build a base up beforehand, like I've got a base. Where's my? Oh, I've got a base up here. I can't find where the miniature is. Where's it gone? Don't know where that model's gone. So I've got the base. So I've done this sort of sea foamy base with this metal tentacle coming out. This is an old Wild West Exodus model, which was given away free at Salute. But I sort of painted the whole base, and then I drill a pin through it to attach it to the base. That's another model that's gone missing. That's probably never going to be found. Brilliant. I'll just add that to the queue. One day I'm going to pull this whole sort of set out, and I'll find all the models that have gone missing over the years. So it says irregular, but you planning on making this regular? You mean the stream? Not. I just didn't want to have a schedule, basically. I quite like doing these. I like having a chat with you guys. A bit more of a chilled out sort of painting session. Talk about the sort of projects you guys are working on. I guess it'd be more regular than irregular, but it's not going to be sort of like every Friday night or anything like that. I just kind of, it's when I got time to do them because of my job and the kids. I don't want to commit to doing something that I wouldn't be able to keep to. So I'm going to plan on doing more of them. I'd like to try and do one a month, maybe. They'll probably always be around the weekends. It depends. Once the restrictions are lifted, if Hayley takes the kids out, then maybe get like a couple of hours in on Sunday afternoon. If she's listening to this, she's probably cursing right now. But no, so eventually, yeah, maybe once a month. Hello, Jay. How you doing, mate? Nice to see a hobby stream to distract you from real life. I hope everything's all right, mate. Things are not good at the minute. If it can distract you a little bit, then obviously you're welcome to join in. Although to be fair, I'm only going to be probably going for another 5 or 10 minutes, but because I need to go and spend some time with Hayley. I do hope everybody's staying safe, or as safe as you can. Oh, coat of arm paints. Yep, they're another one I meant to check out actually. You have enough different paints as it is. You don't need to start adding more. Yeah, that's my privacy. Paints are some. I'll go and I'll see them, and I'm like, I need that color. Then I'll buy it. Then I'll get home and I'll be looking through my paints drawer. But, I actually already had something that's vaguely similar to that. But the color that I cannot find a replacement for is deck tan. And I don't know what's going on. I assume it's because of the B word. But Vallejo, I was looking at buying some Vallejo deck tan the other day, and it was going to cost £3 for the bottle and then £9 for the shipping. And I couldn't, it was out of stock everywhere, absolutely everywhere. Fortunately, my mate happened to find one for me. but that's the one paint I can't find an equivalent color for. I did. Some people said Rackar Flesh from Games Workshop, but it's so dark compared to it. And I use this so much, especially when I'm finishing off models. I hope it helped, mate. David, can I suggest some good books on Wars of the Roses? Yeah. I assume you mean non-fiction books. So I'm reading it in a minute, or I've just finished actually. This book here by Mike Ingram, who's I think he runs the Battlefield's Trust in Northamptonshire. He's written this book, which is all about the Battle of Bosworth. It's the most recent sort of work on it, and it looks at new research, looking at things from a bit of a different angle. Obviously, you've got all the stuff to do with Richard's body being discovered and the wounds that he suffered. But in there, this whole section is actually on how the armies are organised. It looks at the French support for Henry, which has always been a little bit underplayed, and how effectively it was really maybe not so much Henry Tudor's victory as a French victory, but that's a good book, and it delves more into that. There's a very good book called The Wars of the Roses, and I can't remember what the subtitle is, by an author called Matthew Lewis, which basically deals with all of the key players, sort of an individual basis, so a bit of a biography in each one. He's a very, very good author. He's a Ricardian, so he does subscribe to to be fair, I suppose I am a bit as well. The sort of picture of Richard that we've got which is now being sort of changed, is a bit, how should we say, wrong. But he's a very good writer, and all his arguments are well reasoned and well researched. On the other side, there's a good book about the Beauforts, but I can't remember who's written that bugger. Sorry. If you want some fiction books, there's Con Igwaldon's written a series, which sort of start 4 books that start with, the first one's called Stormbird, that starts in the 100 Years' War and follows it through. That's pretty good. There's a couple of things wrong with it, but overall it's a good historical novel. And then there's the ones which I'd really recommend, called the Kingmaker books, which are all set in the same period. Very, very good books. But no, anything by Mike Ingram, I'd recommend. And obviously the Osprey, in the Osprey books, there's a good Osprey book on the period as well. You finished building the ridge at Wellington to defend Waterloo, 2 sections, 42 by 12 inches, the largest hills you've ever made. I'd love to see that. I mean, 5 or 10 minutes of the stream is better than I did GCSE maths. Mate, I hated maths. Anything's better than maths, in my opinion. But do you know what? This is so weird. So I hated maths, and I didn't get on very well with my teacher. We had quite a few disagreements, but I now use it because I do so many things with accounts now, because I run a business. I think back and I always remember the woman saying, like, oh, you'll end up needing this more than you need anything else. And I remember being really cocky and saying, sort of being smart ass and saying, no, I won't always have a calculator. And she was right. Amazing. Thank you very much. Have you read the Blood Red Rose book about the burials of Thanet Town? Yes, I've also got the archaeological reports on this book. So if you go on the Towton Battlefield website, you can download the actual archaeological report on them. It makes for very interesting reading. It wasn't very pleasant what happened to those guys, but then that, the only idea of chivalry in the Middle Ages, I think the Wars of the Roses well and truly gets rid of. But no, that's good. There's also a if you search for Blood Red Roses on YouTube, there's a good documentary. There's a Time Watch documentary where they're actually examining the skeletons. They do a little bit more on it, so check that out. That's well worth watching. Well, guys, I'm going to call it an evening there. I've managed to base coat, how many have I done? 9 archers, or 8 archers in the Pennant Guy. I've just got to basically do the bows and the flesh, paint on the livery coats, and those guys are done. So I might actually have these done by the end of the weekend, which would be cool. Anyway, I hope you guys are oh, hang on. Hello, Matt. So this is my This was one of my friends I was referring to actually earlier, who we used to play when we were teenagers on a Saturday afternoon. I bet my vampire counts would beat his chaos. What am I drinking tonight, mate? I'm on a cup of tea. I'm on a cup of tea. That's what I'm on. You're on Corona. So you're in Chile, though, aren't you? No, I'm on a very, very cold cup of tea. Though I'm now going to go and get a whiskey, mate. So take care, and I hope you're all doing well. I did always beat you. That's right. See, this is going to carry on now after I end the stream. I'm going to send you a message. We can carry on this argument. Anyway, I hope you guys are all well. Take care. I'm going to go and see if I can convince Haley to play the French in the next game. So have a good evening, everybody, and I'll see you all again soon.